finishing with Rocket Dining at the University of Toledo.
Good morning, I'm Jason Davis, Senior Executive Chef for Rocket Dining, also at the University of Toledo.
And today we're going to be talking about how to keep a healthy routine over the holidays. And so we've got a couple different recipes to share, and I know you guys have submitted some questions, so we'll get to those as well. And then if you have questions during the meeting, please just put them in the chat box and we'll have people read them to us and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. What's your favorite Thanksgiving food, Chef?
Stuffing and gravy.
Stuffing and gravy, okay. I would have to say mine's either sweet potatoes or the cranberry sauce. Do you like cranberry sauce? Do you make it or does it come? You probably make it.
Make it from scratch.
Make it from scratch. Is it hot or is it cold? Okay, because mine's cold as well and I thought that was kind of weird. My husband always has hot cranberry sauce. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about trying to keep the holidays healthy, whether it's Thanksgiving, which is coming up next week, or the winter holidays coming ahead, is eating breakfast. Do you eat breakfast when you've got a big holiday gathering? What do you eat for breakfast?
Usually later. I'll have just 2 eggs or I'll have an apple.
Okay.
Some fruit.
Okay, yeah, sure. And so one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about eating breakfast is because it's something that I think people skip pretty often to save calories, save room, whatever it is. Because you might have a bigger meal coming throughout the rest of the day. So here's why you don't want to do that, essentially, and that's just because it's not going to set you up for the best experience throughout the rest of your day. Eating breakfast is really important, and there's a couple different reasons why people might not eat breakfast on a regular basis if they do some type of intermittent fasting or something like that. So that aside, if you're a regular breakfast eater, you still want to eat breakfast on Thanksgiving, or if you have any other holiday coming ahead, because basically what it's going to do is it's going to help make sure that your body has some nourishment so you don't go into your holiday meal overly hungry, and then maybe you have a little more of a chaotic experience and maybe you eat a little too much or even so much that you're really uncomfortable the rest of the day. Because no, I don't like to be uncomfortable after a big holiday meal. Now, it's important to remember that everybody does overeat, and that's completely normal, but trying to set yourself up so you're not uncomfortable for the rest of your day is going to probably be the best for you. So that's why we're going to eat breakfast today, and I'm going to show you a healthy, well, actually, I'm not going to show you, Chef is going to show you a healthy breakfast option. What are you making today, Chef?
So we're going to do a fun run on avocado toast, which is still pretty popular, still pretty trendy. Mm-hmm. All fresh ingredients, all things that are relatively available year-round. Obviously, tomatoes aren't as best in December, but you got a lot of other flavors that are going into this that can still make it good. So what I did is simply try to prepare a lot of this ahead of time. Even when you're cooking at home, it's so much more fun and enjoyable to cook when you get everything ready ahead of time, and then the stress is gone. The running around and looking for things is gone, and you can just have fun and talk and do what kind of we're doing today. So what I have here is I have a diced tomatoes, and then we're just going to kind of add all this together. So chopped up some red onion. Jalapeno. Now you could take the seeds out of these, or you can omit the jalapeno if you don't want it to be spicy. I, on the other hand, like just about everything spicy, so you'll notice there's a lot of peppers in most of what I've been making. Fresh chopped cilantro. What I did is I just mixed the olive oil and the lemon juice. Fresh squeezed lemon juice, 1 lemon works great. And then we'll hit it with a little bit of chopped garlic and some salt and pepper. And again, so we're going to make the pico, we're going to make the guacamole, and there is, if you don't feel like you want to do all of that preparation of cooking at home, you can still buy some good fresh picos that are made. You can buy some guacamole products out there that will be made for you. So that way this process becomes even simpler, in which you'll toast and you'll cook some eggs and you're ready to have a breakfast in like 5 minutes.
That's pretty easy. So, got lots of veggies here with your breakfast. Of course, you don't have to eat veggies with your breakfast, but one of the reasons why we picked avocado toast, other than it's one of my favorite foods, or my favorite breakfast, is that the avocados have a lot of monounsaturated fat in them, which is a healthier fat. And one of the things that I think we skip out on breakfast a lot is making sure that we get enough fat in our breakfast. And essentially what dietary fat's job is it helps keep you full and stabilize your blood sugar for the rest of your day, which again is going to help set you up for success when you go into your holiday meal, and you can have a more enjoyable experience because you're able to eat to a comfortable fullness and not overeat and feel kind of yucky the rest of the day.
I don't need my elastic.
You might still want to wear them because, like I said, everyone does overeat, and it's okay to overeat, but it's just not fun to feel almost sick, or like you have pain in your belly or something because you've eaten so much because you were so hungry.
And then you need to nap so you can wake up for dessert.
Yes, and then you eat your meal, then you nap, and then you do dessert. Is that kind of your routine?
Pretty much.
That's kind of my routine as well. Okay, so what are you doing now?
So the avocados, I just kind of cut these up ahead of time, cut them in half, pop out the seed, and if you use a spoon, you can use a tablespoon, teaspoon, soup spoon, whatever you have, and you just kind of scoop underneath and around, and you can pop out the whole half. It's a pretty simple, pretty easy way to do it. There's obviously several different ways you can do it. This just happens to be my preferred method.
So how do you pick out a good avocado?
Try to squeeze it.
Okay, should it be really soft?
Too soft, it'll be all kind of brown and broke down. The hard one obviously won't work so well. Another thing I do is there's the seeds, the little stem, or kind of like the seed part. I can show you.
Oh, at the top of it? Yep.
Now smell it. So if you can pop that up and that will roll off your avocado is already ripe and probably already becoming overly ripe.
Oh, okay.
So if you ever see the counter, there's a bunch of little stemmy seed things popped up. It's probably because people are doing the same thing. And then you can smell it. You can smell a good aroma of the avocado, and you know it's already ripe as well.
Okay, so you need to be able to smell it, and if the stem pops off, it needs to be eaten now.
Use your bite taste.
Or if you're not going to use it in a couple days, you want to pick up one that's more firm.
Correct.
Okay, cool. I always have trouble picking out avocados.
It's tough. It's a constant battle. They're too hard or they're too soft.
Yeah.
So a couple things you can do. You can put an avocado in a brown paper bag with a tomato because it gives off the ethanol gas that will help kind of make the ripening process stimulated and work a little faster.
Okay.
But for the most part, you got to get them and make sure that they're ready.
So the other thing with the avocado toast, so like I said, we have our monounsaturated fat, which is going to stabilize our blood sugar, keep us full. And the other thing I want to say really quickly about fat is the extra adipose tissue that is on our body, our fat, is not the same as dietary fat. Dietary fat is essential for our nutrition and our health, so you want to make sure you get enough of that in. And then the other thing is we have a whole grain bread here. So this is going to provide fiber and just a little bit of protein as well, which is going to, again, help keep you fuller longer throughout your day, set you up for success when you go to eat, and also regulate your digestion. And let's see, so we're going to put eggs on top of our toast as well.
Yep.
So the egg is going to provide a little bit of fat as well, but it's also going to provide protein. So what you have with this breakfast is you have carbohydrates, protein, and fat, which are your three main macronutrients, and that is what is going to complete your meal. So those are the three nutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Those are what you want to have, what you want to build your plate on, and think of your fruits and vegetables as accessories, like vitamins and minerals as your accessories, because those provide you lots of good things to keep you healthy, and to get all the good things in that you need, but they're not going to provide energy. So you want to make sure you're getting a source of protein. So we've got our eggs here. Another breakfast protein could be a breakfast meat. You could even do, I don't know, have you ever had beans with breakfast?
Yeah.
Black beans, pinto beans, something like that. Doing beans with breakfast, or even like your nut butters. Or you could maybe make a protein smoothie, something like that.
Let's go real well if you want to make a breakfast burrito. So you have your scrambled eggs, tomato. You can put a little bit of pico, the same thing in like a breakfast burrito. So if you had this morning, tomorrow, these are all still going to be good. You can have a breakfast burrito, and back to your beans, you can have some black beans in there, you can have pinto beans. So you can still get another protein in there, which is a lower fat protein, right?
Yeah. And so how do you keep your guacamole from not turning brown? Because I always turn mine brown.
Two things. One, it's the surface area that causes it to get dark. Also, if you notice, this is a more unorthodox guacamole. There's a little bit of sour cream. There's some acidity in the sour cream, plus the lemon juice keeps avocados from turning.
Okay.
I also like to add a little onion, red pepper, tomatoes to make it just more vegetable based in there, so it's not just avocado. There's some cumin, there's some chili powder. So it's a very, very robust, flavorful one. So if you're going to put it in a container, like I don't have a better example, if you could put it in this type of a squeeze bottle, so only the surface area is usually what gets brown.
Oh, okay.
So they say you put the pit or the seed in there, kind of doesn't work. You can spritz with a little bit of lime juice. I've done that. That works too, but if you do that too many times, it becomes too acidic.
Okay.
So it's the surface area. So the tallest, skinniest container you can have, fill it up, push the saran wrap so it touches the surface, not wrapped over the top.
But just
So
touches
it pushes
the
down underneath,
top, what's exposed to the air.
and the oxygen oxidizes and what turns it brown.
Okay, cool.
So
So while you make your egg, I think I've got a question, so I'm going to go ahead and answer that.
Mary asks, what other ingredients did you add to the avocados?
So what other ingredients did we add to the avocado? We went over that a little bit. You got sour cream. Oh, I got the recipe right here. And you are going to get these recipes at the end of the session. So there's tomato, sour cream, fresh squeezed lime, which I'm assuming you can use like the bottled lime juice. Yep. Cilantro fresh, some cayenne pepper, kosher salt, cumin, paprika, and a little bit of sugar. So like I said, you are going to get these recipes at the end of the video today, so you'll be able to have those, and you can always, you can probably pretty much do whatever you want to this based on the spiciness that you like, or maybe the flavor. I know I'm not a big cumin fan if there's too much of it, so you could probably decrease that if you want, right? Okay.
You adjust all, and again, the sugar for this one, I know you mentioned sugar is generally only in the wintertime when the tomatoes are just not very good.
Oh.
So a little bit of sugar will give you a little natural sweetness that will help bring out the flavor of the tomato with the other spices.
So if you're
summertime, I don't use any of the sugar because the tomatoes they're great.
Okay, so do you do that with any type of tomato, like any tomato scratch product that you might use in the winter?
Often throughout the winter,
a little bit of sugar. Okay, and it's just a teaspoon of sugar. So that's not very much, it just brings up the sweetness. I did not know that. Interesting.
And that teaspoon actually goes for, I think this is probably about 15 portions. So
15 portions and 1 teaspoon of sugar. Okay, that's not a lot of sugar at all. Okay, perfect. All right, so you're cooking your eggs.
Yep.
Those look good.
So I mixed the black pepper and the kosher salt together. I don't know if it's because I'm smarter, I'm lazy, or what, but all the above. I do like a tablespoon of pepper to 3 cups of salt is a general ratio I kind of use so that you don't have too much black pepper there because it can be a little aggressive with black pepper.
Okay.
We've already got a little cayenne, we've got cumin, we've got cilantro, we've got acid, we've got a lot of flavorful things happening, so you don't need too much
Okay.
that
Okay.
But like we discussed, I like spicy, so I would put more.
Right. And like you said, so we prepped all of these ingredients ahead of time, so it was pretty quick to throw together. But like Chef said earlier, if you've got maybe a whole Thanksgiving dinner to prepare, or you're bringing something to a friend's house or anything like that, you're busy in the morning, you can buy a guacamole and you can buy a pico from the grocery store and just throw those on as well. From my experience, both of those pico is pretty much just vegetables and a little bit of olive oil, some lemon juice. That's going to be a really healthy option, whether it's homemade or store-bought. And then the same with your guacamole. Or I even use just avocado sometimes. I just cut up my avocado and I smash it on.
Sure.
And don't even make guacamole. So you can do that as well.
A quick way to make it look a little fancier is if you saw how I was scooping out the avocado with the spoon. Take a small paring knife and you can do the slices of the avocado in that half. You scrape it off the spoon, and then you have perfectly laid slices. And literally, you kind of just push them off like that. And they'll kind of fancy sliced on there, and it'll look like a fancier meal. Or you can just throw it out the
I've seen pictures of the fancy, but I just normally throw it on.
Yeah, so whatever you want to do.
Okay. So how much are you cooking your eggs?
These ones we're going to go over easy. That's
Okay.
my favorite, so we should have the hard white, soft yolk.
Okay.
And we'll see if I get lucky to break those.
Oh, nice job. Look at that. I would have not done that very well.
Or you could spatula and just flip them over like if you do whatever.
So you could, I think the recipe that we're going to give you guys actually uses hard-boiled eggs in the recipe itself. But as you can see here, you can fry some eggs. You could probably scramble eggs and scoop them over top. It doesn't matter too much.
Any way you like your egg, that's how you do it. I love over easy eggs, so that's what I prefer. But you're right. Hard-boiled eggs, so you can have those done the day before, 2 days before, already ready. All you do is just slice them.
And another thing to keep in mind here, if this seems like a bigger breakfast than what you normally eat, you can actually skip the eggs. You will get a little bit of that protein from your bread. It won't be super high in protein, but if you're not looking for that big of a breakfast, if this feels kind of large, it's perfectly fine to skip the eggs. Or even, you could skip the guacamole, anything like that. What you want to do when you wake up before you go into a holiday meal is you do want to eat some form of breakfast. Even if you've got, a noon meal, or especially if you have an evening meal coming, you want to make sure you are able to kind of jumpstart your metabolism at the beginning of the day. That is what's going to best set up your body to have a good experience the rest of the day, so you have appropriate hunger. You will be hungry for your meal, but you're not overly hungry. And then you'll also be able to get in some extra nutrition. With this aside, say is, so on holiday meals, we typically eat a little heavier or richer food, perfectly fine. So breakfast is a good way to get those other nutrients in that we might not be eating on a normal holiday meal, so we can get those healthy nutrients in and the fun food as well. Okay,
So,
ready?
so finish it up. Your toast isn't toast. Your your whole grain toast bread in the toaster. I'll usually, typically for myself, I'll just do the one piece of toast because I only really need one piece of bread, the egg, and whatever else. This is more of a bigger, hardier, kind of healthier version. Or if you're gonna share or split, whatever else you have. So all I did was just spread a little guacamole on each of the pieces. And I like to just put some pico down. We got our eggs, still a little greasy, thankfully.
Oh, that looks great.
Just kind of lay those on top. Hot sauce again, like I said, so Cholula is one of my favorite staples. It's just mild, but it's got a good flavor profile to it. So we'll just drizzle a little bit over the top. And then because I love cilantro, again, it gives a nice little pop. Some sprinkles, some shipping out of cilantro over the top to finish. Often people like to put the leaves or plushes or whatever else. I like to look at everything that I do for garnishing as a functional edible garnish, so it makes sense on the plate. Hot sauce adds color, makes it look kind of nice, but it's imparting the flavor. Again, the cilantro, instead of a leaf, which is eating a big leaf of cilantro, you just chop it up, sprinkle it on top of your done, and does that move over this way?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Pretty simple.
There we go. So that is interesting to me. So when you go to a restaurant, there's like a big leaf of, I don't know what it is, parsley, or it's a big green thing. Are you supposed to eat it? Because it doesn't taste very good on its own, but something like that would be good.
I did read something in culinary school in the 80s when they put parsley on the plate. It was supposed to be, obviously it's a garnish, but it was supposed to have the ability to eat, and it freshens up your breath. So what you ate, so when you're talking to the table, that it has a natural breath freshening in it.
That might be nice when you have a mask on after you eat lunch.
So now it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So that was our breakfast option. So to just recap a little bit, eat breakfast on your holiday day when you have a big meal coming, or really every day you should be eating breakfast. I like to tell people you should be eating something within an hour of waking up. That's what's going to be best for your metabolism. And you want to combine all of those macronutrients that we talked about. So your protein, your carbohydrates, and your dietary fat. You want to combine all of those really at every meal that you eat, because that's what's best for your metabolism. That ensures that your body's getting all of the nutrients it needs and will keep your blood sugar stable, which is good to help keep you fuller longer. It will help you not to go into your meal as hungry. You will be hungry, but not overly hungry. And it's also good if you have diabetes. You want to make sure that blood sugar stays in an appropriate range. Okay, so next we're going to talk about, I think we've got our next option coming here. We're going to make a sweet potato hummus, right?
Speaking of snacking healthy, right?
Yes, so the next thing we're going to talk about is snacking, or if you go to a holiday meal and you might have like a couple hours of appetizers coming up first, which everybody does, I'm pretty sure. It's completely normal. I snack every single day anyways. Snacking can be part of a healthy diet. Again though, when you have your snacks or appetizers at a holiday meal, sometimes, if not most of the time, they're not going to be as healthy. They're not going to be those nourishing foods that you might choose every day. That's perfectly fine. But if you're looking to have something, again, maybe you have diabetes and you're trying to make sure your blood sugar stays stable, or you're just trying to maybe make some better choices, for Thanksgiving or the winter holidays coming up. One of the things I like to recommend is if you have the option to bring an appetizer that is a little bit healthier that you can fill up your plate with. You can certainly have the other options as well, but at least you're getting some nutrients in there. So that's what we're going to make the sweet potato hummus. I've actually never had sweet potato hummus.
Oh, this is going to be a treat then.
I love hummus. I've had red pepper hummus. We made a video of a pumpkin spice hummus the other day. So hummus is a really good option, or there's tons of different recipes you can look up. But I'm going to go ahead and let you show us what you're doing.
Sure. So for time in 80s, this is the sweet potatoes. All I did was cut them in half, rub them with a little bit of olive oil, and roast them off in a 350 degree oven until they were soft. Ovens are going to be different. Kitchens are a little more industrial. It took me about 28, 29 minutes to roast them. At home, it's probably a convention oven with no fan, so it's probably maybe 35, maybe 40 minutes. Again, for ease and quickness, and to make this even easier, you can buy the canned purees. There's products out there that are unsweetened, no sugar.
Yep.
You look at the labels, it's just the squash, sometimes a little bit of oil, and maybe a little bit of salt, and that's all there is in them.
Okay.
You can buy those to substitute, so you didn't have to roast this the day before. And then you can make this in 10 minutes at home, so.
Right, okay, sweet. So when we're thinking about balancing your plate, whether it's a meal or your appetizer kind of snacks throughout the day, whether it's, again, on a holiday or during the regular day, what I like to do, so we talked about pairing the 3 macronutrients with meals, protein, carbs, and fats, but then at snack time, it's still important to make sure you're pairing the nutrients. So a lot of times our snack foods are high carbohydrate foods, pretzels, chips, crackers. Not that there's anything wrong with carbohydrates, but those aren't going to keep you full for very long. It's easy to overeat those foods because they don't keep you full for very long. So what you want to do is you want to pair your nutrients together. So I always recommend pairing a carbohydrate, which is going to be, like I said, your bread, your crackers, your fruits and vegetables, anything like that, along with either a fat or a protein. So that would look like an apple with peanut butter instead of just an apple. Or some trail mix, which has your dried fruit and your nuts. Or your hummus, which is going to be a kind of a protein and a fat option with some veggies, or even maybe some whole grain pita chips, something like that will help keep your nutrients in check so you're full and you have an appropriate amount of hunger, again, going into your meal. I talk about that a lot because I think one of the things that can kind of make holidays hard is when we're too hungry and then we kind of just eat everything inside, we don't feel good. So that's kind of the goal today.
Starving to full.
Yes.
And you're miserable.
And you're miserable, exactly. So that's kind of what we're trying to avoid. So what do you do next?
So I added the sweet potato, and then the garbanzo beans or chickpeas. Again, you can find them canned in any of your grocery section. We have tahini paste, probably the most, I would say, maybe unique ingredient that you would have.
So what is tahini paste?
It's actually sesame seed oil, basically. Like you have olive oil, it's pressed from olives, and grapeseed oils from grapes. It's a very, very intense flavor. You can tell when you open the jar of the can, it's very in your face. And again, so that would be more what you call tropical oil almost.
Yeah.
Right? And then again, my favorite
anything you
cumin.
can substitute for tahini? No, you need the tahini.
It's one of those that tahini is.
Tahini is tahini.
Everything tastes like chicken, but not tahini.
Tahini.
So here I go with my cumin again. Again, it's one of my favorite spices. You do not have to use the cumin. Again, if you are not as big of a cumin fan as I am, you can omit it. Again, so we have the fresh squeezed lemon juice. I love using fresh squeezed just because it makes me feel like I'm eating something fresher. I mean, you have a lemon, I can smell it when you cut it. It just gives me that feeling and sensation that I'm putting what I want into my body. Lemon juices and stuff you buy are perfectly fine. Check the label. A lot of times there's a lot more in there than just the lemon or the lime, and I stick away from those.
Yep.
2 or 3 ingredients is all you need on that one.
Okay.
So I get some of the fresh garlic. Again, olive oil. A little bit of olive oil because you also that's another healthier fat, but also it's going to give that creaminess because the chickpeas themselves are pretty dense and kind of dry. So again, salt, pepper. And then the fun part is you just kind of give it a few whirls and it's good. See what comes out. When you're roasting the sweet potatoes, I also like to cook the chickpeas and roast them or cook them, or you can even literally cook them on a stovetop in the liquid from the can so they soften up more. You're going to get a creamier, smoother texture to your hummus because the chickpeas, like I said, they're really dry and rough. If you don't have a real good KitchenAid or a RoboFood at home, it's not going to blend all that well. You're going to have chunkier. If you like chunky, great. But if you want it smoother, again, so I would put the garlic and the chickpeas and I would cook those all down.
So from the can, you put the chickpeas with the liquid in it?
And then you strain out all the liquid when you're done with just to have moisture. Or you could strain it and just add some water so you're literally like simmering it like a soup or something.
So how long would you have to cook them down for?
20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Throw in your sweet potatoes, then put them out. Cook those out. You can cook them ahead of time too. You can do it like the night before. Cool off, throw in the refrigerator so you can make this whenever you want to.
Okay. I think hummus is something that making hummus has always been kind of intimidating to me.
Right.
But that actually would make a lot of sense. I don't have the best blender or food processor at home, so I might have to try
Sure.
Just cooking them down on the stove, that would be pretty easy.
If you were advocating the fresh cooking before we give you recipes, again, for a real quick one, I know when you're trying to invite people over for a party or having guests over the holidays, everyone's running around, it's stressful, it's crazy, the kids is the time they're gonna be all, unorganized, and so time always seems to be a crunch. You can buy some good quality hummuses from the market.
Yes.
Again, you can make this as simple and quick and easy if you want to. You can buy the hummus, you can buy some of the pureed squash, literally in a mixing bowl, which you can mix them together. It's nothing but a few minutes to cut up some fresh vegetables, and then you can have this dish.
And if you don't like the sweet potato, you could leave that out as well. I think the sweet potato just makes it a little more festive if you're bringing it to a holiday gathering. And then when it comes to, your appetizers or even your holiday dinner, I think another thing that can be overwhelming is feeling like you have to eat everything that's prepared. Now, if you want to, that's perfectly fine. But I know, at least for me, there are certain things on the holiday table that, like mashed potatoes, for example. I eat mashed potatoes all the time throughout the year. It's not necessarily a holiday or a seasonal food for me. So I would rather skip the mashed potatoes on Thanksgiving Day and fill up. My dad makes the best sweet potato casserole. I would rather fill up on a sweet potato casserole than eat the mashed potatoes. So that kind of can go, like I said, for your dinner meal or your appetizers as well. If there's something there that you don't really like too much, or that it's a pretty normal food for you, and you can have it anytime throughout the year, fill up on the foods that are your favorite. Because like I said, it's just one day, it's not a big deal to eat a little less healthy throughout the day, but fill up on the foods that are your favorite, because that's going to satisfy you more and make the experience better as well.
Absolutely. Now this makes a lot more than what was in that portion. So again, this is about a 10-person kind of type recipe, because we were talking about Thanksgiving and gatherings.
Okay.
Maybe not as much this year, but
maybe not as many people this year. Yeah.
This, saran wrap it, or put it in a bowl, put it in the fridge, saran wrap it. It's been in your refrigerator for a week.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right. Did you show the? Here, I'll bring it up to the camera so you guys can see it. So there's the pretty hummus, and like I said, you can add maybe some whole grain crackers, some pita chips. I like to have like the veggies and a little bit of crunch as well. Personally, that's just what I like. Pretzels would be good as well. So this would be a great appetizer to bring to your holiday gathering that just provides a little more nutrition in it, so you can fill up your plate with both those nutritious foods and those foods that maybe aren't as good but kind of nourish your soul a little bit. There's nothing wrong with eating those yummy foods during the holidays. Okay. So I think we've got our last recipe coming up. So I'm going to move this off to the side.
Sure.
Okay. So let's talk about medically indicated diets. I got a couple questions prior to our meeting today about medically indicated diets. And so this can be something that's really tricky, especially if you're hosting a lot of people for Thanksgiving. Maybe you or somebody you know in your family has a diet that they have to follow for whatever medical reason. So this would be food allergies, or intolerances or sensitivities. It could also be, diabetes, when you have to watch your carbohydrate intake a little bit, anything like that. If you have maybe renal disease and you have to watch your protein intake, among other things, medically indicated diets can kind of be tricky to navigate tricky to navigate anyways, but especially tricky during the holiday season when you want to enjoy all those yummy foods. So my personal recommendation is, first of all, work with whoever, whether it's you and you're going to somebody's house, or you have somebody in your family that you're cooking for, work with that individual to figure out what works best for them. Because a lot of times the hardest part about that has nothing really to do with the food itself. It's not feeling included and feeling deprived of whatever that food is during that day. So I recommend being to the best of your ability, making everything suitable on your table for that individual, or if you have multiple individuals. So that basically means if you have someone who is lactose intolerant, trying to make all of your food, again, to the best of your ability, lactose-free. That way, everybody's eating the same thing and everybody feels included. If you have someone who is like our example today is going to be gluten because having celiac disease or eating gluten-free is becoming more popular. So we're going to make some, again, we're going to use sweet potatoes again. We're going to make sweet potato brownies. We use oat flour, which doesn't have gluten in it, in place of regular flour. So I just recommend doing to the best of your ability, making everything available for that individual. Now that's probably not possible with all of the food that you might have at that holiday, so just work with that person. What do they really want? What food do they really look forward to that they can't have that maybe you can either make it or they could even make it for themselves so they can safely eat it or just feel included. Okay, so walk us through the brownies.
All right, cool. One other point is, again, we talked picking the sweet potato because we already paired with another dish. We already have some, so you have the sweet potatoes, and you roast and cook these the same process you did that. So you're cooking out some sweet potatoes, and you're going to be able to use them for 2 different functions later. So it's kind of like working smarter, not harder type thing. And the sweet potato, much like you probably will mention, has that creamy richness that will almost act like an egg, and we'll do the same thing in the cooking process to give you that, that moistness and that feel to your brownie. So pretty simple again. Roast them off. Literally, when they were done and you saw it, you can pull the skin right off of it. It literally falls apart when it's roasted. All I do is just mash it over the spatula real quick so it's got more of this kind of puree texture, so that it's kind of soft.
Okay.
If you do prep this ahead of time and you refrigerate it, you pull it out. It does work better if you slightly warm it, or at least let it get up to room temperature, or flash it in the oven or a pan real quick. Because when it's really cold, it's real hard and it binds real tight, and it's hard to kind of mix all the ingredients together.
Yep.
So just a few little things you'll learn as you do them.
So is that almond butter?
This is the almond butter. Like you're saying, if you don't have almond butter at home, you could use peanut butter as the substitute. And then again, I think the rest of these are mostly ingredients that you kind of have at home. We are using the avocado oil.
Yes, and the avocado oil is just part of the recipe that we found. We could probably use any more mild tasting oil. I think olive oil would probably be a little too strong, but like a canola oil, something like that would be fine. The one thing I do want to point out with the oats, so gluten is a protein that's found in wheat, barley, and rye. A lot of our food has those ingredients, typically wheat in it. And the other thing to remember, whether it's gluten or it's an allergy, is cross-contact. So if you do have someone, whether it's an allergy to gluten, peanuts, whatever, and you're finding an alternative that is allergen-free, you want to make sure that the product certifies that it is allergen-free, because, for example, Quaker oats, it is oatmeal, but they're not certified allergen-free. Well, there are specific boxes, but the regular Quaker oats container isn't certified allergen-free because they also use certified gluten-free, because they also use gluten-containing ingredients in the factory, so there could be some cross-contact that could cause a reaction. So if you're going to make these for somebody at home who may have celiac disease, you want to make sure that you do find certified gluten-free oats, and then you can just pulse them up in your blender to make oat flour.
Perfect. So next we got a little bit of maple syrup, which gives it that sweet, almost kind of nutty richness. Again, when you're cooking without gluten and without allergens and without certain items, there's other fun ingredients that we're using and putting in corporate to kind of give you that same and similar mouthfeel. Something that throughout my career you've heard a lot is to make something that's gluten-free. Again, we just talked about this. It's gluten-free, and then you maybe try it, not maybe, you offer a try a bite, I'll taste it, and I'm like, wow, that's good for gluten-free. I found that you really made it when you don't have to say for gluten-free. It's just good. And this recipe is really good, and it's one of those that I wouldn't have known that it wasn't gluten-free. I know it's different from a brownie, right, because you got some different things in there. But again, when you gave that bite, and I tried it, and I did it, it was awesome. I'd make it for my kids and give it to them, and there'd be no missing of the gluten or whatever else. So the one thing we didn't add all the ingredients, we're going to reserve a few of the chocolate chips and sprinkle those on top before you bake them, because then it just kind of gives those nice little chip morsels on the top of it. It kind of just gives a little bit of a visual, if you will, for you. And this is a pretty easy one. You just mix everything together.
And so having a recipe like this, maybe you have someone in your family who is gluten-free and you're going to make this recipe. I would recommend, first of all, asking that person, is there any other foods that we can try to the best of our ability, make gluten-free so you can feel more included on Thanksgiving? Because again, a lot of times being restricted from food, whether it's for a medical reason or your own individual preference, it's not about the food. That the complication comes in when you don't feel included when you're with your family or at a gathering. That's kind of what causes the most stress, even if it's not completely obvious. So having options that include everybody is just going to help the day to just be better for that person and better for everybody, and it's going to help everybody to feel included. And it's going to help that individual who may have a food allergy or sensitivity not really think about their food allergy or sensitivity and just be able to spend time with their family, not worry about anything else going on in the crazy
They can just
world
relax,
of 2020.
Relax and have fun like everybody else.
Yep.
Like looking over, can I eat that? Can I eat that?
Right.
I love that. It's a great point.
Okay.
So this was it. You saw mix. You put it in, I like this lightning pan spray, an 8x8, a 9x9. You can use the Pyrex, you can use glass, you can use the metal pans, whichever you want. Sprinkle the chocolate chips on top. Pop that bad boy in the oven again, about 35 minutes, around 350. Again, different temperatures at home and ovens and commercial to kitchens vary. So, what I always like to do, my grandma taught me, is the toothpick method. You stick your toothpick in the center of it, you pull it out when the cakey crumbles no longer stick like this kind of batter, then you know it's done. For ours, we decided we wanted it to be a little soft, a little bit more moist.
Yep.
So we pulled them out when the toothpick still had a little bit of a tack or a glue kind of substance to it, so that it would be, that moist content that we wanted to.
All right, I think we cheated a little bit. We've got a finished product coming. And Chef made them look nice and pretty.
And there we are.
So here we are. So I'll up here.
Just sprinkle a little powdered sugar over the top, just to kind of give it, a little fun visual look. The chocolate chips you see, they got baked where they kind of got soft, and they almost solidify and get firm. So you get a little bit of a crunch from those chocolate chips that are floating on the top, which I think was a real good idea. It just gives you more texture in your mouth when you're eating.
Yep. All right, so here, these are our 3 recipes. Like I said, you're going to get the recipes after the video is over. I don't know if we have any questions in the question box, but so just to recap a little bit, starting back at the beginning, you want to make sure that you do eat some type of breakfast during the day of the holiday, before your holiday meal. You want to pair your carbohydrates, your protein, and your fat. We made the avocado toast. Another thing would be like oatmeal with some peanut butter and some berries. You could just do a piece of peanut butter and jelly toast, something like that. Cereal would be a good option. It would be a lighter option, so it might not keep you as full, but maybe if you're going to eat your breakfast at 9 a.m. and you've got a Thanksgiving dinner coming at 12, cereal might be a good option because you'll have that little bit of energy at the beginning of the day, and then you'll be hungry again by lunchtime. So that was our avocado toast. So make sure you eat your breakfast. And then our sweet potato hummus. This is just a more fun option that adds in a little bit of nutrition. It is fun too. It is good. That you can bring to your holiday meal. And again, you can just fill up your plate with some of the good stuff and some of the stuff that you don't eat every day that's a little bit richer. And just remembering, what do I like, and filling up on the foods that you're really looking forward to, and maybe passing on the foods that you can eat all the time. Again, mashed potatoes, if you love mashed potatoes, that's perfectly fine. Mashed potatoes are I eat them all the time, I like them, but they're not my favorite food, so I'm probably going to skip and go for more of the sweet potatoes. Or if you like both, just have both the sweet potatoes and the mashed potatoes.
And if you're not a huge fan of sweet potato, there's tons of combinations you can do. Other things that we've done in the kitchens. Roasted red pepper, so you put the roasted red pepper there instead of the sweet potato. You can do spinach and feta cheese, give it kind of a Greek type thing. You throw the spinach and the feta cheese right in there, and you mix it right there in the whole process. It gives it a little bit of that green, white from the creamy. You can do hot ones, you can do harissa, you can do jalapeno. So there's endless options of what you can do to make hummus more fun and exciting. And what I love is you're adding more vegetables. You're adding, some other fresh ingredients that we don't normally get into our diet by processing it into the dip that you're having, and then it gives you a reason to eat celery. It gives you a reason to eat your red peppers and the other fresh vegetables. So you're dipping it with a vegetable, also in a hummus mix that you've incorporated more vegetables. And it's just another way to kind of sneak more into the kids' diet too.
And I don't know about you, but there's always a vegetable platter at any gathering I go to. There's always a vegetable platter that's typically got the veggie dip in the middle of it. Swap out that for the hummus this year and see how it goes over. You might be surprised. And the other thing, if you want to try to make hummus at home, I would highly encourage you to. But look up some dessert hummus recipes as well. They're pretty surprising. We made, like I said, we made a pumpkin spice hummus a couple weeks ago. It was really good. And I know there's like a brownie chocolate hummus recipes out there that maybe you dip like strawberries in, or you could dip pretzels in, something like that. Could be like even a dessert option as well. And then for those of you that have either yourself or someone in your family that has a medically indicated diet on Thanksgiving, or any holiday coming up, it can be a day that they don't feel, really restricted. They feel included, and they're not so focused on whatever it is that they can or can't eat throughout the day. Just having options that are friendly to them as well on the table. And again, my suggestion, of course, within your abilities, is make as many options as possible able for them to eat. So whether that's making everything lactose-free, attempting to make everything gluten-free, peanut-free, anything like that. That will just help that individual and the whole day just go better. They won't feel kind of as crazy and focused on their food allergy or their restriction.
Sure.
Okay.
Even that, so you talked about gluten for your celiac. You would just have to change the bread.
Yep.
Your bread, that one would be done. This year, I think the only thing we had there was the almond butter. That would be a nut.
Yep.
So you could switch it for a different where you would not have any nuts either. So with one or two adjustments, this whole board is a wonderful substitute allergen-friendly meal. It can be completely gluten-free and still be delicious. So.
Alrighty, so that's all that we have for you today. I don't know if we've got any questions. If you have any, put them in the chat real quick. And if not, you can always find us. Like I said, I'm Kailey Limes. I'm the dietitian with Rocket Dining at the University of Toledo.
And again, Jason Davis, also Rocket Dining, University of Toledo. Feel free to contact, email, or get with us if you have any questions or things you'd like to see or do. Yes, sir.
Oh, we do have a question.
So Andrea asks, any tips for using leftover turkey?
Ooh, I'm gonna filter that one. Tips for using leftover turkey. That's you.
That is a great question. So to me, turkey is one of my favorite proteins, so I get so excited around the holidays. Turkey tetrazzini is a fun, my great-grandma actually used to make it, spaghetti noodles, your leftover turkey. You can do a little bit of the turkey gravy also kind of goes into that. You can bake it like a casserole. Obviously the common turkey sandwiches, anything that you would normally use for your chicken and you want to have it. So roasting the carcass, which might be a little too much for some people at home when you're done, because you always got that big pile.
Yeah.
You put that in a stock pot, you throw the extra vegetables from the cruda tray and the trays, you just simmer it down for 4 or 5 hours, you strain it out, put it in the refrigerator, and then that's like awesome for soup. So you can make a turkey noodle soup, you can make, if you don't want the casserole, and if you don't want a sandwich, and you don't want the soup, I even use those in like roll-ups. We'll do like turkey roll-ups for my kids, and a tortilla, some turkey, your favorite condiment to roll up on there. So there's plenty of fun things that you can do.
So pretty much anything that you might use chicken for, you can substitute turkey. And actually, the carcass, I've never done it before, boiling it and kind of making your own broth. It kind of wigs me out a little bit, but that broth is actually, because you use that carcass, super nutritious as well. So if you're into that, I would highly recommend you to do it, and then let me know how it went. Maybe I'll try it. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see how
I'll
it
bring
goes.
you some.
Okay, thanks. That'll work. Okay, well, thank you so much for inviting us today. We were super excited to be here. If you have any questions or anything at all, you want us to come back, we're happy to do it. And we hope that everybody has a safe holiday and a good rest of your year. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for letting us cook for you and hope to entertain today.